Welcome once again to Voodoo People's devlog, mapping devlog, that is. Uh, I know last time I said that we were going to talk about my next version of VIPR Factory, but I'm a little bit tired of talking about that map, and I'm procrastinating a bit because the next version is one that was very frustrating to me, and I thought that we would actually maybe take a little bit of a nostalgia trip. Some people in the Team Fortress 2 classic mapping community will actually recognize this map, but probably no one else will, aside from maybe a few random people who somehow found this video that took part in an obscure Team Fortress 2 community from a very long time ago. This map is called CTF Highlands, and it was made in 2008. That's right, 2008. 1 year after Team Fortress 2 was released, because I am an OG of Team Fortress 2. I pre-ordered the orange box, and I played it on day one. And despite a few hiatuses here and there, I just keep coming back to it until I finally found TF2 Classic, where it's the only really version of the game that I play now. But anyway, I did a little bit of mapping in my teen years. I was a teenager when I made this map. And it was the only map I ever actually finished until I picked up mapping again in the last couple years. When I was younger, I actually wanted to be a level designer, like professionally, and I didn't really follow up on that dream. I don't know why. I guess maybe I just, in the back of my mind, I felt like it was like, I don't know, not going to be a viable career path. Maybe there's too much competition. I didn't really know if I had what it takes. And part of me is disappointed that I did, but all things considered, where I am in life, like, I'm actually pretty happy with how things turned out. And from what I've heard about the video game industry, I've heard it's pretty rough, and sometimes I think maybe it was better that I didn't go for it, because now I get to do mapping as a hobby, and I can have fun with it. I don't have to deal with, like, deadlines and investors and crunch and all those things. So, life is give and take. I had fun while I was doing this. I'm having fun while I'm doing it now, and I just happen to have what was 2008? So, yeah, like nearly like over 15-year break in between, So, anyway, let's stop reminiscing about the past and let's talk about this map. So this was the first map that I ever released, but it was not the first map I ever made. Of course, I made a lot of half made a bunch of maps for like Counter-Strike 1.6, Counter-Strike Source, but I never actually tested them. I never finished them. I never even really played them. And so this is the first one that I ever actually executed from start to finish. It's a capture the flag map. It's set in the Alpine theme because this was very shortly after the map Arena Lumberyard released, which was that was the first map that had this Alpine theme. And I remember really thinking this Alpine theme was pretty. I was like, man, I love this. I was always a little bit like, on the constant desert aesthetic that TF2 found itself in. I know not every map was desert, but like a good portion of them were. So I was really happy to do this Alpine thing. I made this map all with dev textures to start. It was even play tested a little bit in this clan I played in, and with another team that we used to scrimmage with sometimes. And I don't have any of those versions anymore. I mean, those are completely lost to time. The VMF for this map is also completely lost. Like, this map will never be worked on again. It's just a time capsule for me to reminisce about. So, yeah. So this map has odd symmetry. It's mirror symmetry, but it's 90-degree mirror symmetry, as you can see. It's an L shape. This was actually kind of based off of a CTF map, which is pretty popular in the comp community at the time. I do not remember the name of it, but it was like both bases were actually on the same wall, and you actually attacked each other by making a U-turn around the front structure of the main building. And I don't remember what that map was called, but I was kind of inspired by that, except I did this 90-degree thing. So as you can see, this is mid, the midfield. Just this hill here, like to break up a sight line, and you go over, and then you go into the enemy base, and try and capture the flag, of course. These rocks, I remember at the time, were actually custom assets. I think these are actual props in TF2 now, but like at the time, we did not have these alpine rocks. You actually had to download desaturated versions of like the desert rocks. And I remember this is how I learned about map packing, because I published the map without packing the assets, not understanding that you can't do that, and then everybody got the dreaded glowing error messages, and then I packed the map, and that was it, right? So yeah, I guess like let's follow the main pattern of talking about the layout first, I guess, before I start talking about the aesthetics. So I'll just go to the spawn room, red team here. Um, it's funny. I mean, like I look at this map and like I really think that like it doesn't look too bad. It definitely looks pretty amateur. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm much better now, but like everything just looks a little blocky. The textures are maybe a little bit awkward. Like this wall is really weirdly thick for what it is. But you can see that I was trying. Like I was making the floor different textures. I was putting these metal bars on the roof and stuff like that. Putting decals on the walls. It's not quite as like rich and detailed as like a typical Valve map, but like I was aping it. Like I was looking at what they were doing and I was trying to recreate it. I just think it's funny to see these old decals here. I feel like especially this one. I think this was like leftover from like very early in development of TF2. You very rarely see this, but I threw it in here because I guess I just ran out of other red decals to use. So. And then you exit spawn, and you have these weird walls blocking your path. You'll notice a lot of stuff in this map is actually blocking a lot of sight lines, and that's because like back in like 2008, at least in the circles that I ran in, the thing that people complained about the most was sentry turtling. I don't think like that's such a big thing now because like sentries are kind of easy to deal with unless you have an entire team backing you up. But like I don't know, back then people just like hated sentry turtling and like thought it was like the worst thing ever, and it was like the thing. It was like the thing that makes CTF suck. And so like I remember like my mission here was like I'm gonna make a CTF map where it's impossible to turtle with sentries, and I designed the base in a way that was like very you couldn't lock down the entire base with one sentry like you can in, say, Two Fort. Two Fort, of course, even back then was the butt of a lot of jokes. Uh, People are really mean to Two Fort. I'm also really mean to Two Fort. I think Two Fort kind of sucks. But I like Two Fort is just like it's a museum piece to me. It's been around since Team Fortress was a Quake mod, so it's like you have to have it. But like I think it is just objectively an awful map. But yeah, so you can see like I'm like you can't if you put a sentry here, then you'll be able to get in the base here. This is the entrance, so you'll be able to get in here. If you put a sentry here, you'll be able to get in here. That was my thinking with this. This base layout was also really inspired by CTF Well, because for some reason I really liked that map. I think I just had a lot of good memories playing on that map with my brother, and I wanted to like use CTF Well as a sort of a template. So anyway, you come out of spawn and you have this sort of outer lobby area. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, why is there this concrete wall up there and there's like wood everywhere else? There's just like this random train going through here. Like, you can see that I'm just slapping down whatever props I feel like. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but there wasn't a lot of. You can tell that there wasn't a lot of thought going into like, what is this building? Like, why is this here? And anyway, you come out here and you're in the outer area, and you go up over the hill, and then you go to attack the base. There are these upper entrances, which I will talk about later. And then you're in blue base, and as you can see, I was fairly ambitious with my first map. I wanted to do the thing where you give a different theme and different style to both bases. It's not just a palette swap. I didn't do that with Dom Carts because I was lazy, but I did it here, and I'm proud of myself for doing that because I'm surprised when I was a teenager that I found the motivation to actually do that. So anyway, you enter into this mid room. I always really liked this room with the glass. It's kind of reflecting weirdly there, but I always love having this like glass ceiling that you're running over here. And I mean, this is just so impractical when you think about it, like having a glass floor and ceiling. Like, it's really bizarre. And I always thought it was funny. I think I did this on purpose. It says top secret down there, and then it's like you could see into the top secret area. Like, I think I did that as a joke. Um, I remember I made these angled windows because I thought that looked cool. And this area here is like, so when Team Fortress 2 came out, it was around the time that like Valve was getting really into doing this, like, make every part of the map have these like inaccessible windowed off areas to add like some depth to the level. That was something which like a lot of people just commented on. I know like we take it for granted now, but like in 2008, this was like still kind of new, and people just thought it was like the coolest thing ever. They're like, oh wow, the map is so much depth, and it's like you can see beyond the play space, and like it just feels like the map extends on forever. And so like I'm just doing that because I'm like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. And I just put this like random staircase here, with like these doors and signs and stuff like that. Um, and then you enter the flag room or the intel room, and you can see I'm still just doing it with no rhyme or reason. It's just like I just like, okay, I've got some space here. Let's put another window, and let's put in like, what are these? These are like grain hoppers. It's like, why is there a grain hopper here? But I just looked at it and I'm like, I'm a teenager. I don't even know what these machines are. I'm like, oh, that looks like a machine. I'll shove that in there. Um, yeah, I mean, you see, I'm trying to make the ceiling 3D, even though this is like just a really, I'd say, bad texture choice for the ceiling. At least not without maybe being a bit smarter with the lights and like making it darker. Ceilings have always been really hard for me, and I think for a lot of mappers, because it's just hard to like make a ceiling that looks good, and a lot of the times you just end up making ceilings darker. Like you'll add some depth to it and you'll do something with it, but you just make it darker, so like you just don't really look up that much and notice it. Yeah, so the intel was down here in this pit. I remember not knowing if I wanted to put it up on a pedestal, so like invert this, or put it down in a pit. I chose to go with the pit for some reason. Interesting choice, not really sure why. You can see the room I remember making just big enough so that like one sentry again cannot lock down the entire room. I guess you can lock down the intel, but it was like no matter where you put a sentry in here, it can only really cover like half the room, because again, we were very dogmatic in our belief that like sentry turtling equals bad and ruins CTF, or at least I was. Maybe I'm just projecting my beliefs onto the TF2 community as a whole, but I seem to recall people complaining about it a lot at the time. The payload cart. Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah, so payload was also very new. I think payload, like Gold Rush, had only come out like probably like a year or so earlier. Not can't be more than a year because it was 2008. So TF2 is only a year old. So payload would have been very new, probably within the last few months. And I remember putting this payload prop here just as a visual detail. I thought that was funny. It's going way too slow. He should be going faster, but I thought that was cute, and that's pretty funny. And then up here we have like a really weird office. I'm just shoving random office props in here, and up here is just a bunch of barrels, which is like, how the hell do they even get the barrels in and out of this room? But yeah, it's funny to look back in retrospect at it. I would definitely have put a lot more thought into this room now, but it's neat to look at the past. Another room with just random props thrown in there, these generators. I was having so much fun with this, though. Yes, okay, you've captured the intel, right? I got a bit sidetracked with the aesthetics, because I think that's probably the most interesting thing to me about this map, but I'll get back on track. So there's two ways out of here, two ways excluding the way we came in, which again was through the main entrance. You can go up these ramps, and this other one is pretty much identical. And you run through this room, and that takes you to this upper area here where you can escape through these doors. And that hole, I will come back to talk about this weird hole. It's a very stupid reason why that's there, but anyway, you can escape this way, and then you're back in mid. If you had gone the other way, if you had gone this way instead, you would have gone up this ramp, and you would have just ended up at this one where you could have jumped out maybe to here, and you have a shorter route back to your base this way. If you're a scout, you could double jump that. If you're a soldier or demo, you could explosive jump. But anyway, Oh, let's look at blue spawn actually, because blue spawn is different. So you can see it's very similar aesthetic, but I just changed it up a bit. I remember going for this very angular look in blue. I wanted to. You can see like these I don't know, like polygonal windows here, and this, like, I don't know what I was thinking here, but I just thought like I wanted it to be visually distinct from red, and so that's what I went with. So it's neat to see like this is when I was starting to grow beyond just making like rectangular rooms. You know, like I was trying to really make things stand out. Anyway, another way to leave is through the, I'm not going to call it the sewer, but like the underground exit. So, oh right. Oh, now I remember. Yeah, so blue. I decided late in development what these bases actually were, and for some reason I decided blue is a data center. I think I was inspired by Two Fort, the spy tech in Two Fort, the room full of like communications equipment and reels and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is like a data center, and these are like their servers. Not really sure if that's what a real server room looks like, but that's what I imagined they looked like when I was a teenager. Yeah, just more of these control things. Yeah, data link, right? And there's like the door to get in there, stuff like that. I remember early in development, this actually was just one really long tunnel. I'll show you the whole tunnel first, actually. So, yeah, it's like an underground train line. I mean, I know TF2 has these like wacky hidden spy bases, but like an entire underground 3-lane train line, I don't know, man. that's a bit crazy even for TF2, but I thought I could get away with it back then, apparently. More data center rooms. The lighting in here is really weird. If I were to do this now, I would. You can tell these are just point lights, right? And there's not even any light props in here. This was probably done later in development, and I was just getting tired and lazy. More angular windows, you can see. I was trying to follow my visual theme. I would do the lighting in here a lot more carefully so that you don't get that weird, like this guy's so much darker than this guy, right? Like I would take much more precise care of that now. And down here it's even worse. You see. Um, so anyway, yeah, just more control apparatuses here. I'm just having fun with all the different props and skins and stuff. That's the Badlands final point. I remember I think Valve just kind of more or less completely fixed this better later on. But like I remember one of the things that people found when they were playtesting this in this old defunct TF2 community that I was talking about is like one of the things they did was they put a teleporter in here. And you could get teleported here and you get trapped. This was around the time that there was this video going around called Team Roomba presents Team Fortress 2 Griefing. Real, real old school TF2 YouTube content. The real ones will know what I'm talking about with that one. I suggest you go Google that and watch that if you want to see some real vintage TF2 trolling. People had watched that and people were like, one of the things they were doing was they were putting teleporters inside of these inaccessible eye candy areas, and so people of course were naturally trying to do it to my map, and they succeeded here and in a few other places. So anyway, stop talking about the aesthetics. I got to talk about the balance again. So I remember this was actually just one really long hallway at first. It went all the way to here, all the way up here, and during a scrimmage between my clan and this other clan that we scrimmaged with, they pointed out that like this hallway is just insane because it's just like a straight line. It's super boring. A sniper is just undefeatable in here. And I ended up breaking up the sight lanes. And it's funny because back then I didn't really know about the concept of breaking up sight lines. I knew like I kind of understood the idea, but like I never knew it as a concept. Like no one ever explained it to me. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, a really long hallway is boring. So I like put this here, I put this here, this ramp, stuff like that to make it more interesting. And I think I succeeded. You know, like I executed that well, I think. I would say this is still a pretty long flank to get into the base and out. And the reason why it's so long is because if you go up here, you're out of this area, overlooking mid, this like wooden platform area, and of course Reds goes that way, and I'll go down there because I want to reminisce about the details down there too. I remember thinking when I was making this map that like this would be a good spot for like a base for a team to like set up a sort of forward position that they could use to maybe like hold mid, and like maybe that would like make the game a little more interesting in that, like, they're able to capture more easily. I don't know. I've had it explained to me by devs from TF2C before that like actually you don't really want a team to be able to hold mid very well in capture the flag, because it gets really boring for the team that's locked in. They just can't leave their base, and it's no fun. But I didn't know that back then, and I don't think this was ever really used this way anyway. It was just part of the map, honestly. Yeah, weird lighting on this prop on this sign. You know, there's little things that like I didn't fix because like, admittedly, I was pretty busy as a teenager. I was one of those good kids in all the extracurricular activities. So it's a wonder I even found time to make this, honestly. But like stuff like that, I would have seen and been like, I'm not fixing that. Too tired. Okay, so let's go into the red base here. I want to take a look at the aesthetics here. So if I recall correctly, red was I decided later on red is like some kind of like rocket delivery or manufacturing facility. I remember just putting rockets everywhere. Again, this room is just absolutely bizarre. I mean, I like the catwalks up there. That's kind of cool. I could see what I was going for there, but I don't think I executed it very well. I think I wanted it to be like, you know how like, I don't know, like in movies and TV shows you'll see like catwalks suspended in large dark rooms and it feels very maze like. I think I was going for that, but I didn't quite execute it properly. And this room just makes no sense, and like of course we all know in games, especially TF2 and like rooms don't have to make sense. I believe that. I think that's really true. Like rooms don't have to make sense, but I think you should try to make them make sense. Like they should make as much sense as they possibly can, because the less sense they make, the less believable it is, and I think that matters. I think um, you should really take care to like try and make things that actually look plausible, and only make things implausible when like you are doing it for the sake of gameplay. Seems like red I didn't really put as much detail into. It's a little more barren. Um, this sort of angular wall here. It's more of a blue base thing, but I probably had made this glass wall flat, and then I just thought, ugh, that looks boring, and so I would have just pushed it back at the bottom, and then I would have thought, yeah, that looks cool. That's a cool window. And again, I guess this is like a toxic chemical storage. And yeah, you can see I'm just phoning it in over here. I'm just like, oh fuck it, what do I do over here? I don't know. Garage doors, gate 1, 2, 3, bam, done. Art passed. Beautiful. Mwah. Anyway, so this is Red's inner room. I didn't do the glass floor thing, obviously, because I didn't want to like overdo it. We have this command center room. This was definitely being inspired by 2Fort, the command center room that they have down in the intel room. It's too dark though, and the reflections off of this window are killing it. They're kind of ruining it. But yeah, you can see what I was trying to copy, like what I was trying to go for. And then red base. Oh yeah, remember I always thought this was really pretty. Again, not really well executed. It's too dark. I should have added some lights to illuminate this better. But I liked this. I didn't really add much of a 3D skybox to this map, probably because I was again getting tired and lazy and stuff. But yeah, you can see like this was, again, it's a rocket facility, so I guess we have to have a rocket launch pad too. Up here, it's just some kind of another control facility. Again, no lights. I probably did it on purpose because I saw how dark it was in the 2Fort control rooms. Oh, that clock is rendering on top of the glass texture. But anyway, I probably thought like, oh, it's dark, and like I didn't really quite understand how to execute it properly, and didn't get that like this reflection is gonna kill it because it's too bright out here. But yeah, this is the exact same layout as Blue Base. It's just textured differently, and you can see I'm doing it in a very basic way, right? Like I'm just like, okay, I'll make like a sort of checkerboard pattern with different floor textures because sorry, that's my mouse. My mouse sometimes just freaks out and turns around like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I think I could probably do a better job with this now, but I like the fact that I was trying back then. You know, like I noticed that like making the floor all one texture is pretty boring, and so I was doing stuff to try and make it look better. Even if it was just as simple as slapping like a map prop on the wall, you know. Yeah, that's basically it. Um, these I remember these windows were actually not closed before, and you could actually look into the spawn, and you may be wondering like, Voodoo, what the hell were you thinking? Like letting people look into the spawn? I don't know. I remember like thinking. Now look, okay, it's confession time. I am a demo main, and I've said before I've been a demo main for a very long time. I was also a teenager. I was reckless. I was inconsiderate. I may have spawn camped once or twice in my life. I know, shocking. I'm so sorry, everyone, if you can forgive me, but I may have spawn camped. Now, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it either. All right? I did what I had to do to have fun in TF2, you know? So, anyway, with that dirty laundry now aired, I had these windows open, like with glass, but like the shutters open because I thought that it was actually a fair trade-off to spawn camp. If you put the sticky bombs here and you went over to here, because I thought, hey, well, they can see you, right? And they'll assume that like you've locked off this door if you're standing here. And so I thought that was fair. Uh, the playtesters did not agree with me, and they let me know very loudly that that was not okay. So, in the end, I closed the shutters, and I stopped the spawn camping. I think maybe out of spite, I like left this crack here. I mean, it doesn't help. You can't see anything through it, but like, I was spiteful, so I left this open. So, and that's why these windows point out at nothing, because like originally it was part of this like weird idea that I had to like make spawn camping quote unquote fair. I know. Okay, so now that I've exposed myself as a monster to everyone, let's talk about one thing here, which is I think my biggest well, actually, hang on. This is the sniper deck. I have to introduce the sniper deck first because that's how I introduced my biggest act of hubris as a mapper. Um, I thought this structure was just kind of cool. This like round building jutting out from the base. Probably could use a few more faces on that cylinder. Looking a little quaky, you know. Y'all got any more of them polygons? But anyway, it is what it is. And blues looks more or less the same, just different textures, obviously. I thought this was just a kind of a neat sniper deck for some reason, and I remember being really butthurt because people were going here instead. This was not like this before. There was no hole here, and people would stand right about here and they would snipe from here because this actually is just a better sniping spot. You have easier cover, you have more visibility, you're a bit further back. This is just better, and I remember being really butthurt about this. I was like, "You damn ungrateful snipers! You do not appreciate what I've made for you, so I will take away what you have taken from me." And I put this hole here. Don't do this. If you're starting mapping, don't punish players for playing the way they want to play unless it's just a straight up exploit. You know, like I don't know why I thought I could do this. I was like, no, screw you guys. You go over here. All this did was make it really hard to like jump over this because especially using this fence prop, because it's like you can easily just hit yourself on this and fall straight down. It's just a really weird thing that I at the time thought that like, no, I know better than you players. You're not allowed to snipe here. And I seem to recall even seeing people still just jumping over here, sniping and jumping back. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I guess they earned it. You know, they're doing acrobatics to spite me, so like, I guess I'll let it stay. You know. And it's the same over here. I think just because I felt like it needed some kind of symmetry. And it just looks weird too. Like everybody comments on this when they play the map too. They're like, "Why did you put this dumbass hole here? Like, what is the point of this?" And it's just like, "Oh, I thought I knew better than the players," you know. So the lesson here is like, don't try to punish players for playing the way they want to play. Let players have fun. You made the map for them. It's not for you. Um, yeah, it's mostly it, I think. You can see that, yeah, I made these gabled roofs in the detail up here for red base. I was, again, it seems a little contrived. Look at that, they're just floating. They're not even connected. I guess you don't ever really notice. Maybe you notice a bit. They seem to move around strangely. Um, but I would say this doesn't quite look professional. Like this. It looks a little contrived. I guess you can tell that I am uh, what's the word? Like I'm trying to replicate, or like I am copying masters here. But it doesn't look terrible. Um, there's little things here that put a smile on my face, like little things that I tried to do, like making this elevator, grain elevator prop, despite again making no sense because these things are supposed to be angled, but like having it look like it's collapsing a little bit. Bad lighting there too, but like I probably would have seen this in like another map and be like, oh yeah, I should make it so it's like hanging a little bit. Um, these little angled hallways here, like just seeing how that adds a bit of depth to the level. Back here, like just putting barrels around and having some of them lay on the floor. Like these are just like little details I was learning at the time that like despite again I think if they're not really executed super well, it's like they do give a little bit of life to the map. Like I feel like this is when a map starts to grow beyond like it's when I was out of my like, oh, I made a map in Hammer and it's just a bunch of rectangles connected by hallways, and it was like, okay, I made a map in Hammer and like there's some actual detail here, like there's some effort on display. Um, I'm starting to take note of what the masters are doing and like I'm trying to apply it for myself. And I really like going back to this map. When I joined the Team Fortress 2 C mapping community, and we were putting maps in the server, we actually didn't have that many finished maps to put on our server. And I thought, hey, you know what? Screw it. Like, let's put Highlands on the server. And it was really fun to get this map played again after all this time. Especially since like this map I think is as old or maybe a little bit older than some of the people on that server now, and it's a little bit of a trip back in time. And you can explain a little bit about like what TF2 was like at the time. I can be like the meme with Grandpa and the kids sitting around, and I'm like, and the demo man primary had 6 grenades, and rollers exploded on impact. And everybody's just like, yeah, that's nice, Fudo. That's nice. Time for your Ovaltine, buddy. So anyway, this has been fun to go around and look at my very first map and only one until I kind of quit and came back. So I don't know what the lesson here is other than the hubris one about like, just not not cutting off your nose to spite your face just because you like hate players not playing the map the way you want them to play it. I think it's just maybe a nice look back at like I don't want to sound super arrogant and say like how far I've come, because I don't know if my mapping is actually much better than this now, but I think it's a bit better than this now. Um, and it's just nice to look back on this and think about what I was doing back then and what I'm doing now, and what I see now is stuff that like I would have corrected today. And yeah, so thanks for listening to me reminisce about the good old days for, oh my god, over half an hour now. I hope you found this interesting. I'm a bit surprised if you did find this interesting, but nonetheless, thank you for sticking around to the end. And in the next one, I actually will talk about the next version of VIPR Factory because it's the only thing left for me to talk about. So yeah, see you in the next one.